That was.
See ya, suckers.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a regular meeting for the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. Time is 9:03. Yeah, 9:03. Madam Clerk, are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there is an addition to the agenda that came to the attention after the posting, and that's a discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to the agreement for medical services for the jail and juvenile hall.
Okay, and do we have a motion to find that this was
I'm sorry, Chairman, just a question. Do we have the actual signed agreement and item from the department? I didn't see that come through, and I didn't know if it was going to be pushed to the next meeting.
Oh, we did get the agreement this morning.
Okay.
So we have the electronic that we talked about, the signed agreement.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion? Do we have a second? And that was finding that this arose after the posting of the agenda.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
All right. And we'll be going into closed session first. County Council, can you please read into the record the closed session items?
Yes, Chairman and members of the board, although there are 6 items listed on your agenda, I am requesting that we move the existing litigation to the next Board of Supervisors meeting, and we'll give you an update on that ongoing wireless litigation. The other items for your review are the conference with your labor negotiators. Your agency designated representative is Adrian Caleb, and the employee organization is under all units under Government Code Section 54957.6. You have a decision whether to initiate litigation under Government Code 54956.9 under anticipated litigation, and there are 3 performance evaluations under Government Code Section 54957 for the board to discuss. The title of the positions are Community and Economic Development Director, your Public Works Director, and your Director of Department on Water and Natural Resources. Thank you.
All right. Is there any public comment on any items on closed session? Seeing none, I'll call close to public comment, and we'll go back to closed session. Good morning. Sorry for some of the tardiness. We just finished up closed session. With that, County Council, is there anything to report out of closed session?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from today's closed session.
Great. I will now call this meeting to order for a regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. The time is 10:22. And we'll open and close in memory of. Is there anybody that any board member or anybody in the audience would like to open and close in?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This one's really kind of hard for me. It's yesterday, Maria Miranda, my chief of staff, who was chief of staff for about 8 years, and she's moved up in the higher ranks up here at the county, and her dad passed away yesterday, Mr. Miranda, and I just can't remember his first name. I feel really bad, but he was really a special guy. He had raised us Miranda and her sister, Maria and her sister and her brother. Rafe and I have been to their house. She was like my daughter, and he was like another dad to me. Anyway, he passed away yesterday, and it's really tough, I tell you. And then a very, very good friend of mine up at, he's the Elks member with me. He passed away about a week and a half ago. Lee, I'm going to probably batch this. It's Adelsbach, Adelsbach. And he was, I think, 92. He still was on auction for the last couple of years. He came to all the elk meetings and the fundraisers, and no matter what, he always had a joke to tell everybody. Even down and healthy, he'd come up with a great joke to tell us. So, two very important people to me that passed away this week. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have an individual I like to remember. Mr. Al Cousins passed away early this week. He was a 60-year member of the farming community. He and his family moved to Madera in 1959, right next to our ranch, and he's been our neighbor since that time over the last 60 years, and just really a special guy. He was an outstanding neighbor, farmer, a true gentleman. He was my 4-H leader with my project, and just always there to help out. He was recognized as the Senior Farmer of the Year 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. And anyway, anybody that knew him knows what I'm talking about. He leaves a great legacy, still a great farming family, and still contributions to be made. But I want to remember Al.
All right. And there's no more. We'll have our invocation by Minister Paquita Henderson of Glory of Zion Church, and we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance led by Sergeant First Class Villegas. Please.
Push the button.
Let's pray.
There we go.
Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy and your presence in our city. We thank you for our county officials and their dedication to the people of Madera County. Today, we pray for wisdom and direction of this governing body as they pursue the agenda set before them in the spirit of unity, so that those who live and work in around our beloved city of Madera might be blessed. We thank you in advance. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right. Agenda item number 4, public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Who are you?
Better late than never. I apologize for my absence yesterday. I was away on county business and was not here, and I apologize for that. So,
No, I got a text from you. Thank you very much.
okay.
I
So
completely
is it
understood.
sure if you still have questions that you?
I just wanted to ask if on the voting deal, did we save money with the new process, or maybe not the first time, but in the long run, you
We
think?
we did for the November that we just had in 2018. The cost was $353,000 total, but we recouped 210. So out of our pocket, we spent about 142,000 for
What was
that
compared
election.
for 2 years ago?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
how about-
it was less because I think that one I think in 2016, we spent 555,000.
Yeah, I knew it was a lot more, so.
Yeah, it was a lot more. And that's
Thank you.
excluding costs for voting equipment,
I
so.
want to still thank you again for doing that. I thought it was a great deal for Madera County, one of 5 in the state. And now there's all kinds of them, even Fresno's doing it, so
They're moving
great leader,
forward.
hon.
They are braver than I was. They're doing it in an election year, and I just didn't want to do it in an election year.
That was smart.
There's way more people.
So can we reinstate her budget now that she's here today?
Yeah, I guess we should, yeah.
Is someone ignoring me?
Yeah,
Oh,
we just pulled it and said we wouldn't go
Pulled
there.
it- Just pulled it completely out. So
oh, good. So is this a good time to ask for more money?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Becky.
Thanks for the great job, Becky. Jay, how are you?
I'm well. Good morning, Chairman, Board. I'm Jay Seslow, 40997 Road 612 in Raymond. And I'm here today as president of the Corsico Resource Conservation District to give you a little update on where we are. I know I only have 3 minutes, so it'll be quick. Basically, as you all know, but the public may not, we have a 5-member volunteer board. I happen to be the president at the moment. And through grant funding, we've been able to hire about a half, 2/3. Her name is Julie Kono, and she's wonderful. Couldn't be moving forward without her. I will give you just a little summary. In the last couple of years, we've acquired about $550,000 in grant funds. And all the grant tasks we have performed are done by local companies. So we're getting jobs, we're adding tax base, and we're keeping people at work. And it's all in Eastern Madera County. We have been working with several state and local organizations, Cal Recycle, Department of Conservation, the NRCS, Cal Fire, Manor House, Grace Church, and the North Fork Rancheria. Brief summary of the work we've done is we've cleaned up 16 illegal pot sites up there in the foothills, which you all know how dangerous they are on several different levels. 18 illegal trash dump sites through Cal Recycle, through Forest Service property. You wouldn't believe the junk that people dump, and the Forest Service just can't keep up. So we've been doing that with Cal Recycle Estate Group. We've also given away, through our work with hazardous trees or disadvantaged people who need some help, given away over 100 cords of wood. A lot of that was done in cooperation with Manor House, disadvantaged people who wouldn't have had any way to heat their homes, trailers, etc., without our help. And we've also, taken down a lot of hazardous trees. And you all remember the big issue, the terrible fire up in Cascadel Woods. Well, we created after that a huge fire break to try to prevent that from happening again. And I could go on to more, but I know I only have 3 minutes, which will probably used up.
You got 36 seconds.
36 seconds, let me talk fast. Does anybody have any questions for my 36 seconds?
Thank you for
Good job.
the work that you're doing up there.
We got something that'll fall right in line with that I'm going to play here in a minute, so
Okay,
it'll be working
I'll
good.
stick around. Thank you, Tom.
And Tom, I believe you have a,
Yeah, I got Jay. Thumbs up. I got I'm on the Sierra Nevada Conservancy Board and the San Joaquin Air Pollution Board, and we've been trying to work together to get more control burns in our forest to make them more, like this is going to show you. This is a little clip that we made up for that.
We see the work that we're doing at Independence Lake as kind of a microcosm of the bigger problem across the Sierra Nevada. We have a fuels problem. We have too many trees. We love the forests. They're beautiful. But if we want our forests to be healthy and to be able to withstand drought and withstand insect attack, we need to do more of this type of work across larger landscapes. My name is Edward Smith. I'm a forest ecologist for the Nature Conservancy in California. I think one of the hardest concepts to understand for many different reasons is that prevention is worth the investment. It's much less expensive to do preventive work, and the outcome is much better. You actually have forests that are healthy, watersheds that protect water quality and continue to protect water quality into the future, and we have better places to recreate as a result of doing that proactive work. The epidemic of trees and fuels and high severity fires that we see across the Sierra Nevada is going to be best dealt with through proactive management of our forests rather than putting out fires or cleaning up the mess after a big event like the Rim Fire. Having fire burn through our forests at high severity and high intensity, the way the Rim Fire and the King Fire and the Rough Fire did, are not viable options for the future of the forest. It's much better to have investments at large scale across the landscape to get fire back in. So we've been planning to do this prescribed burn since we acquired the property. We acquired the Independence Lake Preserve to make sure that we could ensure the survival of the Lahontan cutthroat trout and the other fish species into the future. We want to make sure that this fish population that is thriving in the lake has every opportunity to be healthy and continue to reproduce. So by thinning across the forest, reducing the fuels, we've been removing small trees and dead brush and ladder fuels, surface fuels, and bringing fire back into the landscape to make sure that this forest is healthier, and also to make sure that we're reducing the chances, reducing the risk of a large fire moving through this area and causing harm. By putting a little bit of the fire on the ground now, we're protecting against a large fire later. Bringing fire back into a forested landscape can really improve the health of the trees and increase their resilience against insects and drought. And the advantage of doing a controlled burn or prescribed fire is that we have the opportunity to warn people that smoke is likely to be impacting them, and the amount of smoke that comes out of a small fire compared to a large mega fire is somewhere between 1/10 to 1/100th of what you'd experience. To be able to ramp up the activities similar to what we're doing here at Independence Lake is going to take a lot more action on the ground in preparation across larger areas.
At Independence Lake, we've thinned the forests using both mechanical tools and prescribed fire. As a result, this forest will be able to better withstand fire in the future. With the support of the Sierra Nevada Conservancy and as a part of the Watershed Improvement Program, projects like the Nature Conservancy's Independence Lake Preserve is able to restore the health of Sierra Nevada forests for the benefit of all Californians and Nevadans.
Thank you, Tom.
Shows what we need to be doing with our forests. So we're going to be showing this around more and talking about other areas we're doing like that. So one of our main goals now is to try to get our forests back healthy again.
Great. Is there any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion. We're going to take some of these out of order right now. We have a very long consent counter, which I'm sure Supervisor Wheeler is going to have a few to pull off. I know we've already got one. So I'm going to take out of order in appreciation of their time. We're going to start with 7C, 7B, 7A, and then we'll go back into the consent calendar. So 7C.
7C, presentation of proclamation proclaiming May 1st, 2019 as No Seizures Day in Madera County. Whereas epilepsy is a brain disorder that causes seizures, and whereas 3 million adults across the country and nearly 500,000 children live with this disease every day, and whereas an estimated 13,500 children in the Central Valley are living with epilepsy, and whereas on May 1st, 2019, Valley Children's Healthcare announced that it had been designated as a Level 4 epilepsy center by the National Association of Epilepsy Centers, the highest and most prestigious level of certification available. And whereas this certification signifies that Valley Children's is one of only 5 pediatric specific Level 4 centers in the state, and the only Level 4 center between Los Angeles and San Francisco, ensuring our children can receive the highest level of care right here in Madera County. And whereas a Level 4 center provides the more complex forms of intensive neurodiagnostic monitoring, as well as more extensive medical, neuropsychological, and psychosocial treatment and a complete evaluation for a broad range of surgical procedures for epilepsy. And whereas the Valley Children's Level 4 Epilepsy Center is supported by an excellent team of physicians, nurses, and team members, led by Dr. Cesar Santos, Medical Director, Neurology and Neurosciences, and Dr. Patricia Clerkham, Medical Director, Neurosurgery, who share the vision that every child should have the chance to live a seizure-free life. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Madera County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim May 1st, 2019 as No Seizures Day in Madera County and acknowledges the Valley Children's certification as a Level 4 Epilepsy Center.
Thank you. So this was brought forward from Tim Curley, and once again, we just have to realize how fortunate we are to not just have a children's hospital here to serve our children, but to have the best, right? We are, this is just, I find like this happens all the time in all the different aspects that the hospital does, that not only is it certified to do it, but it's certified at the top level to do the services for our children. My daughter fell and hit her head, and I was 5 minutes away, and just knowing, you know, that there was this world-class facility right in our backyard, it takes a lot of pressure off of parents when you're in these times of need for your kids, where you just want to take their pain away, and you know that with Valley Children's Hospital, you're going to do everything that you can to take that away and allow our kids to live great lives. And so we appreciate everything you do, the fact that you continue to move forward and be the best healthcare provider for our children, not just that you can be, but that anybody can be. So thank you. And we have a proclamation here that will come down and present to you. And if you'd like to say any words, you can.
Yeah, you've got to do it that way, yeah.
We at Valley Children's Hospital really appreciate this. It means a lot to us. As you've heard, that in the Valley we have 1.3 million kids. So if you estimate that 1% of those will have epilepsy, that's 13,000 kids. The good part of that is we could control their seizures 70% of the time, or 65% of the time. But for 35% of those kids, so that's 4,450, they're living with lifelong epilepsy.
Wow.
So for their parents, they are decided on the fact that this is what life is going to be for me and my child. So for you and I, if you have a normal child, you could say, okay, 17 or 18 is just around the corner. They'll be moving out. You know, I could enjoy myself. That's not an option for them. And then they worry what's going to happen when I'm gone, right? So what we have accomplished at Valley Children's is to provide these people the 35%, another option outside of medicine, which could only control 65%. And I'm happy to say that since we started surgery in November 2017, we've done 16 surgeries to control seizures, and all of them are seizure-free. Wow. I'm going to give you one example. One of them had started seizures at age 5 months. It's now 13. We took out the right brain. So this sounds like a drastic a surgery, but the only thing that the right brain is doing is cause the seizure, and it's preventing the normal left brain to function. So that the parents have not taken this child anywhere without having a seizure. Okay, so we did the surgery on November 2nd last year, and she's been seizure free since then. The mother called and said, "Now, Dr. Santos, I have a problem." She said, "I used to have a baby, 13-year-old baby, because she's so delayed. Now I have an adolescent." That's a good problem to have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, and then we'll. I heard the baby crying, and I want you to rest assured that I love to hear babies cry in here, because it reminds us what we're actually up here to do is for the community. So I love hearing
one at
babies.
home is doing the same thing.
Yeah, love to hear babies cry.
Yep.
Except for at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes, like Melissa said, you sound tired. Sorry, I thought I got a good rest last night. So now we'll go to 7B.
7B, Board of Supervisors, District 1, recognition and presentation of certificates honoring the Madera County Army recruits for 2019 and congratulating them on their commitment to the United States Army.
So, so this was. I had
Coordinated here.
I had this idea a while ago, but I was at Madera High for the ET extravaganza, and I saw some uniformed officers that were recruiters for the Army, and I went over and talked to them and asked them what they thought of this idea of bringing in recruits from our area, from Madera County, that were signing up. And the reason being is that we want to recognize that your dedication to your country, your dedication to your community, and wanted you to know that we're behind you and we appreciate what you're doing for us.
We
You're
keep having these meetings.
So we can keep having these meetings so this little baby can cry, and it's because of you putting yourself into a position to be the shield for this great country. And we just want you to know that your sacrifices and your duty is appreciated, it's felt, and we just appreciate what you're doing for us. And so we wanted to bring you in and just say thank you personally now before you embark on this journey. Thank you. So we have certificates and we'll call up your name and a pin from Madera County. It'll be the first medal you get, but I'm sure you'll have many more medals that you'll win throughout your careers in the Army. Yeah, we'll have. Yeah, just from my. Yeah. And then, so when your name is called, you'll grab this, and then we'll go along here for a picture. Israel Ortiz Martinez. Jonathan Robert Pombo. Stephanie Vanessa Rosas. Elena Guadalupe Caro. She couldn't make it today. Roman Alejandro Elizaraz. Oh, well, why'd you make me go through that? Jonathan Paul Martinez. Christian Giovanni Mendizabal. Jesiel Jose Morillo Algarin. Preston Matthew Spears. I could have given that one to you, Tom. You could have said that. Angel Gonzalez Rico. Gannon Matthias Rodriguez. Sal Navarrete. Miriori Santos Morales. Leslie Amasqua. Amasqua. That's not right. Alejandro Calderon Rodriguez. Cristobal Garcia. We don't want to run into you on the battlefield. David Lee Ray Hines. Anna Nicole Quinchelo. Yeah. Trinidad Isaiah Mejia. Francisco Romero. Juan Angel Sanchez. Roman Elisarares. Oh, yeah, sorry. Siblings or? Christian Moreno. Marissa Estrada. Alexis Reyes. Ordelis? Angel Ordelis. Okay. Okay. And I think it's also important to note that we're here to say thank you to the families for giving of your son or daughter. And there's a sacrifice that goes on at home when they're away for so long. The community is behind you as well, and we appreciate your sacrifices. So. And now we'll do 7A, so our district attorney can get back to court.
7A, District Attorney Department, license and software hosting for a new case management system. 1, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Carpal Solutions in the amount of $234,375 for the installation and implementation of a new case management software system license for fiscal year 2019-2020 and authorize the chairman to sign. 2, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Carpal Solutions for software hosting of prosecutor by Carpal for a 1-year term and authorize the chairman to sign.
Thank you. Good morning. Sally Moreno. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, board members. This is a very exciting day and a time for us at the District Attorney's Office. This program was selected over a year ago. We went out and we found the funding. It enables us to do a whole host of things that are going to bring us into the 21st century. One of the things, our current system, Damien, is at its end of life and can no longer be updated. So some of the fundamental things that we're not able to do, we're not able to record case dispositions, and we're not able to update our files, our charges. So as the law changes, we have to remember to manually update every time we have a different charge that's been something new since 2014. We have to remember all those changes in the law when we're filing charges. We're unable to track statistics. And as you know, all the grants that are available for criminal justice funding from the state and the federal government require statistical tracking. So we've been removed from that. So Carpal is a system that allows us to get back in the game and get back moving forward with our system. It also comes at a perfect opportune time. The sheriff is moving towards a paperless system, paper on demand. And the courts are also moving, so we should all be able to interface electronically with a huge savings in people driving up and down the valley and driving their paperwork over to other people's offices. All of that should be able to happen electronically. So it's very exciting. There's a ton of good features. Does anybody have any questions specific of me regarding this?
No, I think it's a great idea.
That's something we've been trying to do for the last 6-8 years, is update all of our computer systems, and going to be up here on top, not down here trying to figure out how we're going to do it later.
Yeah, and it really does. It's already, Carpal is being used in 23 other counties, so we don't have to build it from scratch. It's functional. They have all the databases in there for all our current laws. They understand how California law works.
And it communicates with the sheriff and the police systems.
Yes, so there's money in the contract to develop those interfaces.
Perfect.
And that's exactly what we want to be able to do, is all of us move forward.
Imagine that where our law enforcement can talk to each other. That's a novel idea.
right? Without having to get in the car and drive over with a stack of paperwork. It's
Right.
going to be great.
That's great. All right, is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none? Oh, do you have a public comment? If you could bring,
You gotta come up here, right.
and state your name and county of residence.
My name is Joshua Williams, county resident, Madera, California. Regarding the system that you request to have in place, does it have anything to do with, can you communicate regarding communications with mental health issues? Because I know there's a lot to do with, like, with police pull somebody over, or there'd be like a mental health issue with somebody and they don't see it right there in front of them. And instead of sending them to a hospital or what have you, they put them in jail. Like, does it have anything to do with that?
Thank you.
So in response to that, it doesn't directly address those issues, but those issues are near and dear to our hearts. And what this will enable us to do is track statistically the data that will allow us to apply for grants to help solve these kinds of problems. And we're already in where we have a behavioral health court and we're in communication with law enforcement. And this is very important for us. And it's a rising issue in the community. So as we're able to track and move forward and make progress, acquiring grants to facilitate exactly these kinds of issues for our community.
Great. Is there any other public comment regarding this? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion. Bring it to the board for action.
Make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Okay, and now that you've got a civics lesson for the day, we'll take a short break so our recruits and their families, if you want to stay, by all means you can, but you don't have to listen to the rest of our long, boring meeting. But we appreciate you all being here this morning.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you very much.
unsafe if that affects their decision. Not really.
We're going to break for lunch, Rob. Yeah.
Well, hers will be hidden, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And this morning.
You got to give her a little advice on that. Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
Doing good? Get your questions answered out there. Huh? Me too. Here, have a pen. Shut up.
Okay. All right, welcome back. We're going to continue to go out of order. Now we'll do 7D and 7E next and get proclamations going. So 7D.
7D, Social Services Department, presentation of proclamation proclaiming June 15, 2019 as Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Madera County. Whereas each year, millions of vulnerable and older adults are victims of abuse, neglect, and exploitation, including physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, as well as neglect, abandonment, and financial exploitation. And whereas according to national statistics, elder abuse is grossly underreported because of vulnerable and older adults who are being abused find it very difficult to tell anyone due to shame and fear. And whereas in 2018, Madera County Adult Protective Service social workers on average responded to 721 cases of elder abuse. And whereas Madera County's vulnerable and older adults of all social, economic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds may be targets of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, which can occur in families, long-term care settings, and communities. And whereas protecting Madera County's vulnerable and older adults is a community responsibility, and all citizens are encouraged to learn to recognize and report suspected abuse, neglect, or exploitation to the Madera County Department of Social Services. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Madera County does hereby proclaim June 15, 2019 as Elder Abuse Awareness in Madera County. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors urges all citizens to work together to help protect elder adults from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, because it is imperative that we refuse to tolerate the indignity of elder abuse.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. I really appreciate your time. In 2018, our Department of Social Services Madera County received 721 referrals of abuse and neglect amongst the elderly population in our community. We as an agency are working towards achieving high level of competency through new training of programs for our social workers that are providing services specifically for this vulnerable population. We also continue to provide education to our seniors and our dependent adults through community outreach, and with the goal of arming our seniors and our dependent adults with knowledge that they can use to help it reduce the occurrence of abuse. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is June 15th. In honor of this day, Madera County Adult Services has a banner displayed at 605 South Gateway Building, actually 721 flags, to represent each report of abuse we received in 2018 as reflected on your monitor, though it looks blue and they're purple. As an agency and as a community who honor our seniors, we want to use this day as a call to action for everyone in the community to raise awareness about abuse and more about prevention of abuse. With me here is Program Manager Sharon Diaz, Yolanda Eros, a supervisor with Adult Services, and Julie Dodd, our Adult Protective Services social worker. Sharon Diaz is our program manager who's over Adult Protective Services and also in-home supported services. So Sharon?
Good morning. The Adult Services Division of the Department of Social Services is honored to serve the seniors and dependent adults in our community. We strive every day to improve our services and our practice in support of older adults on their journey. This is a practice that we utilize not only during the month of June, though, but all year long. We would like to say thank you to the board, our administration, and our community for recognizing the importance of addressing this critical issue.
Julie said she was going to give you the peace sign. Where is it, Julie? We really appreciate your time and your awareness of this important day. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And we have a
yes.
certificate. We'll come down and take a picture.
Yolanda says nobody told her there was a picture involved, but she looks very nice anyway.
7E, Social Services Department, presentation of a proclamation proclaiming June 13th, 2019 as a day of recognition for the Office of Public Guardian, Public Administrator of Madera County. Whereas the Public Guardian, Public Administrator provides mandated conservatorship and estate administration services as specified by the Probate Code and Welfare and Institutions Code. And whereas the Public Guardian staff are highly trained, hardworking, dedicated professionals who serve to protect and care for those in the community who are unable to properly care for themselves or who are unable to manage their finances and have no one else to assist them. And whereas the Office of Public Guardian ensures the physical and financial safety of the persons unable to manage their person or estate. And whereas the Public Administrator is charged with managing the estate's persons who die without a will or an ascribed executor of the estate. And whereas as of May 2019, the Office of the Public Guardian manages 239 cases to protect and care for members of our community who are unable to care for themselves. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Madera County does hereby proclaim June 13th, 2019 as a day of recognition for the Office of Public Guardian and Public Administrator in Madera County and recognize the staff's accomplishments with a gesture of appreciation.
Good morning again, Chairman and Supervisors. It's my pleasure to be here. Deborah Martinez. I am the Department of Social Services Director, and I'm also the Public Administrator, Public Guardian, and Conservator. But in reality, the team that was involved with Public Guardian is foremost the team behind me, which is Chief Deputy Mardell. Come on up. Jeanette Price, who is our Program Assistant, and Linda Carrillo, who are the office assistants. There are three there, and we have approximately another person and a half that participates in this office. They do a tremendous amount of work. It's only because they make every minute of every day count that this small team can do the large amount of work that they do every single day in order to address the concerns and the needs of this population. I really appreciate you acknowledging this day as well as our day for Public Guardian. Okay. Mardell?
I wanted to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to serve our community in this way. We really find the work fulfilling in order to save communities' estates as well as bring families back together. And then we do have the opportunity sometimes to restore people's mental health. So it's been really an honor to be able to do this. Thank you.
And Linda. Excellent. Thank you very much, sirs.
Okay, finally back to the consent calendar. And T, we are going to pull off of consent and put it onto the regular session.
What number?
Do we need a T, 5T?
Oh, we're
Do
going
we
to
need a motion to pull it off of there? So,
Either way,
separately.
motion to pull it from the consent calendar and discuss it separately.
I move that we pull item T, discuss it independently.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second. All those in roll call?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
All right, consent calendar. Supervisor Wheeler.
First of all, item K, Sally. Item K, Sally.
Okay. What are all the ones you're going to pull?
K, N, P,
And now I need a vowel.
V, A, K, and A, J, and A, L. They're all together, though. That is, that's changing the bank account that Mr. Lynn had up there.
Yes.
And a couple of things. Do we have to have him sign off on that bank?
No.
You can do it?
I think Sue Marie, the administrative assistant up there, can do it.
Oh, we can. Good. And then what bank we're going to go to?
I think I'm going to go to Noble Credit Union. It's convenient, and it's
How about
our
Union One? That's what I use.
yeah, that's our local
No, I
credit
don't
union.
care.
Seem to
Whatever one you use, so it's handy.
Yeah.
So I was just worried about whether he, if I close the account, I got to sign it. So I just wondered how. And do you have somebody else that signed with you, or is it just a single signing?
I think it'll be Sue.
I think we should have two on it.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that he had it. I would have never trusted him with it. So anyway, that's beside the point.
Sometimes we don't get a choice in these things.
Right, I know. Thank you, Sally.
Sure.
Item N, probation department. That's for the big brothers, big sisters. Anybody here from probation? Right here. I just like to really watch that. They do such a good job, and we put in $25,000 in that. If it takes more or whatever, I would really like to keep that on the radar. That's the reason I just wanted to bring that up, because that's helped so many kids. I can't even tell you. Item P, Public Works. Oh, there's thing I got about this. There's 5 items in there. I think 5 different special districts, and has each one of them been notified we're going to loan them money?
Good morning, Supervisor. I'm Adalkat, Public Works Director.
Yeah.
I would have to inquire if they've been notified or not. But what this is end of the year housekeeping to see where we at with their cash balance.
Right, but they're all short.
Correct. They're all short. You are well aware that we are.
And so we had a thing. I think it was MD 40 or 42 here.
Correct.
And they said they were not notified when we loaned them money.
Oh, well,
Before,
in
the
the
last
past,
time.
you are absolutely correct.
Now we're back on it again.
But they already know, MD40 specifically know that we
They do
are
now.
coming.
When they came to our hearing on it to vote for 218, they didn't know it.
Okay.
That's what they
But
said.
I'm
Isn't that
sure
what they said?
MD40 and others like MD95 and such, they are very well aware that we are
Okay,
short.
so all
and
those
we're
5,
going-
well, there's 7 of them were
Yes, sir.
on back in here further, which I'm going to bring up. There's 7 of them, and 2 of them are not on this list that we're going to loan money to. How come they're not on this list?
Okay, if you could repeat the question again, please.
Okay, on item P, let me
Mm-hmm.
pull it up here. Wasn't so many, it wouldn't be so bad, but there is.
Oh.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrea Saldati,
Hi.
Deputy Director of Public Works. So the reason item P only lists 5 is because the move of the road mitigation money is only going to 5 districts. We are taking money from the DEG Service Trust for the 2 other districts. That's where the 7 come from. So item P is loaning to 5 districts. The DEG's Trust Fund is loaning to 2 districts.
So the DEGs don't do those 5?
The DEG's Trust Fund is only loaning to 2 separate districts.
Okay.
Road mitigation is only loaning to the 5 listed in item P.
Okay, so they're getting loans from 2 different items. 2 different
Exactly.
places.
Yes.
And does all 7 of those, do they all know they're getting a loan?
They do not. This is them being noticed. You as the board of directors making that decision, yay or nay,
So
is
then
us
you'll write
noticing
all-
them.
Then they all get a letter saying that they do that?
We could do that. It is not necessary though.
Yeah,
There's
the only reason I say that, because we had them come here, that one district said, how come they weren't notified that we loaned them that $70,000, and nobody had an answer for them. I mean, if somebody puts debt on my account for some reason, and also, are they all lined up to have a 218 vote?
Some of them have already had a 218 vote, and the others are lined up to have a 218 vote.
Did they pass them?
No, one did.
Okay,
MD
the ones that
28.
didn't, I want to know because I ain't going to vote yes for it. I'm not going to give them no money.
So MD 40
That's when I got marked here.
has protested their rate increase. MD 28 did have a rate increase and it did pass.
Okay.
They are very small in size, and it's hard for them to make up the amount of cash in such a short time from when it was approved.
Right.
That's why they still need a cash flow loan.
How about 33?
MD 33 has not had a rate increase yet. They are subject to a rate increase when we do the on the board meeting in their area.
How about MD 40? They didn't, they said no.
MD 40 protested.
MD 1?
And SA 14, theirs is done, and we will be doing theirs within the next 2 months.
I mean, they're going to do their 218 vote?
They will do their 218 vote, yes.
What happens if they vote no?
If they vote no, then we are in the
And
same
we loaned
situation.
them that money.
Mhm.
So how do we get it back?
We do have the new policy that sets in place the options, the four
I want
options.
that publicly known, so say it real clear.
And we have been, every Prop 218 notice that we have been sending out, we have been sending out the signed policy as well, the signed resolution. So everybody that is receiving a Prop 218 notice is aware, but the options are that we would reduce service to equate to revenue. We would look at privatizing. We would look at making them their own self-governing board.
That's our new policy now.
That is the new policy, yes.
And it is approved, right, County Council? Can do that.
Correct, Chairman, and members of the board.
I want to make sure. So on MD 40, when we vote, I'm going to pull that one out and vote on it separately. I don't want to vote no on some of these things because there's a whole bunch of stuff in the consent calendar that I want to vote yes on.
And so what on any of those, what happens if they don't leave the cash flow loan?
The consequence is that they are not able to pay their bills. And so that would have to be a discussion that we have with the auditor's office as to how we handle that situation.
So why, how do we get in this situation, come here at the end of the year and do this when we know it's happening? Why don't we be proactive and have them in front of us before or notified if they don't do this that or you just find out now that they're behind?
No, we are aware that they are behind, but what we try to do is take the absolute least amount money loaned as possible. And so we really don't know that full number until the end of the year. If we were to project maybe 6 months through the middle of the year, we might be taking too much money. We might be taking too little money, and we would have to do this process over again. That's why we wait until the end of the year. We have been proactive in doing the rate studies and doing the Prop 218 notices and going through that process. Our hands are tied if they protest.
Well, that's right. I mean, when they won MD 40 and time MD 95 voted no, and yet they got our money, and it really bugs me. I have a hard time with that. Okay.
The only change, Supervisor, is now we do have the policy and we do have options if a Prop 218 is defeated. So at least now we are progressing towards better service and better fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, so at least I had a question too, why they weren't included. I do know that now because of that other deal. Then, okay, that's all on that one.
So you just want AI to be separate vote?
Yes. A and I, that down so I don't forget it.
AI, Chairman, or are we talking about 5P?
No, 5P, you got those in there. You explained that to me. I'm okay. Oh, was 40 in there?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Supervisor.
So that 40 is part of the
P.
loan for the 209
Right.
or 209,000. So that can still be taken. I think AI would just.
So, Mr. Chairman, this item is basically we're borrowing from the Road Mitigation Fund to 5 districts. One of them is MD 40. And then we are coming for a transfer of, for a receipt of unanticipated revenues for MD40, basically realizing that segment of the road mitigation fund that will give a cash loan to MD40. It's item AI. So item 5E is connected to 5 other items later on in the agenda.
Yeah, but that can pass, and if AI doesn't, then that 29,000 just doesn't get allocated to.
Correct. If you choose to pass 5P, then you have a separate item AI
Which is
for
basically
Take
MD40.
off. Okay. So
Yeah, so there'd be the 180,000, 29,000 to MD40.
we just won't pass that one. So what, are you working with them right now to have
29,000.
another 218 vote? Have we had any meetings with them or anything?
We are. There is no escaping the Prop 218 vote, Supervisor. So we're in the, we're going to revamp the study and get better numbers for a Prop 218. When do you know, Andrea, when we will be?
Our contract with Bardo Wells is ending the last day of June, and we will be doing a purchase agreement with them to clean up whatever is left. We still have about 2 that need to be done. We will be revisiting MD40 after July and then going out for another Prop 218. And we will be in communication with the community and making them well aware of everything.
So they'll be living off our bucks and our taxpayer dollars.
Not if they don't get these
Meanwhile.
cash flow loans.
Huh?
Not if they don't get the cash flow
Right,
loans.
exactly. Okay. A1. Separate.
County
Okay.
Council?
Chairman, members of the board, I just want to clarify one thing for myself, and maybe this will be helpful to the supervisors. Are there 2 cash flow loans, one from the DEGS account and
One from the road department.
yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
2 separate items, just
Two
to make
separate
sure that
items.
that's clear. But the same amount of money, that's what maybe making it a little confusing. It's the same amount of money from 2 different accounts, 29,000. So a total of 58 from 2 different accounts for MD40.
So are these dollars, the cash flow loan for these districts, are they going to PG&E or to DEGS or both? Or
It's a combination of both. Right now, we do have some outside vendors that we are holding invoices for, and it is for what is roughly made up of our Q3 and Q4 field staff time.
so most of it is field staff time?
The
Or-
vast majority can be field staff time. I'm not really sure exactly how the breakdown happens, but I do know that we are holding Q3 and Q4 of field staff time, and there are still outside invoices. PG&E is the biggest invoice that districts pay.
Right, that's what it was in our last hearing too. The PG&E was a big
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
Or are we unable to pay PG&E and our staff that has been going out there?
Yes.
That they don't.
Chairman, as you're well aware, we are obligated to provide water service for these districts. So this becomes, the question. We do have the policy now, so we have more options to what do we do so that we are no longer subsidizing these districts. And then we have the policy. We are in much better shape.
Supervisor Poitras?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted to clarify. So we are obligated, let's say we vote against the cash flow loans, we are still obligated to make those payments. So is that true?
Supervisor, not necessarily obligated to make the payments, but I think as the Director of Public Works and Public Health and Safety is my concern, I'm obligated to provide the service, and then we'll see how we can talk about the money until your board decides one of the items in the policy to either sell a district or, any of the options in the policy. But as long as it is still under our service, I'm sure, and again, per your direction, we will be continuing doing the service at the minimum.
So it sounds like good policy from our standpoint would be to regardless of what the vote is today, is to move forward with one of the options in our policy as quickly as we can.
Supervisor, that is if a Proposition 218 is defeated.
Okay,
At
right.
this point, we have, for example, MD40 is defeated, but as Andrew said, we are recalculating the numbers. We're adding this loan, potential loan, if approved, and then we're going to do another Proposition 218. We have been constantly communicating with the community. I believe we've answered every question they have that we can answer. If something that we don't have, we can't really make up stuff. So moving forward, this policy is if they defeated the Prop 218, but as long as it's under our jurisdiction, with your direction, I think I have an obligation to serve.
Thank you.
And every one of the, so every dollar in this that is needed is, you said, at the bare minimum of what is needed. So we have the backup to show all of the field staff time, the PG&E bills, and it adds up to this. We're not adding any extra in.
Exactly. We've had staff look at everything that they need for what has not been paid and for future costs. So they've estimated whatever bills for May and June, and they've also estimated for Q4. We do that all based off of other quarters that we've had to pay and recurrent charges. We kind of know how much things are going to be throughout these districts. We know how much they pay for lab testing, how much PG&E is. And so we give it our absolute best estimate so that we are taking only the bare minimum that's needed.
You guys did a good job explaining everything I thought that day, but they still voted no. That's what really bothers me. And a couple of them have put out some really crazy things out there that we don't do a very good job, and you can't do a very good job if you haven't got the money to do it. They don't realize that, that particular one has got 27 hookups, I think. And, we just put a new pump in our well just the other day, and it was $4,000, and these people are bitching about $60, $70. So just irks me.
I think this is it's a departure of the way that business was done in the past, which was there was no accounting for
a lot of things.
When the general fund was having to loan, there was always this debt that was accruing, but it was accruing not necessarily off the books, but not we weren't coming forward and actually voting whether or not to incur that debt. And so, it was easy for people to continue to stay at their whatever their rate was, because it didn't matter what they paid, water still turned on whenever they turned it on. There was no issues. And so it's just a different way of accounting and actually showing that debt and not just having it on a keeper spreadsheet, how it used to be done. And when we first came in, we didn't know the magnitude as to how much the general fund was actually doing, because there wasn't that accounting. Now that there is that accounting, it's hard for people to see that, because before it was never visible
for the public
and
to see.
when our budgets we would pass by state law require us to have a zero balance that shows whatever the revenue is coming in. You just have to show it that that's exactly how much we spend to the penny. And so when you couple that with never seeing any debt, well, why are we in such a bad position? I pay my bill every month, and why don't I have why do I have a debt? Why do I have a debt? And why does my pump not? Why do I not get water? Well, it's because you're paying 1960 rates for 2019 water. So
I know we all inherited this. All of us, Max and I had inherited. We got it, and they started this upside down in 2001, and here we are still. I mean, you guys have really stepped up. Todd stepped up and got these numbers for these people they've never been able to get. As a board, we've never been able to get those numbers, and we can get these numbers. Now we got some pretty accurate numbers, and when they still vote no on a 218 vote, it really bothers me. I have a hard time, subsidizing people that I know have the money to pay for this and vote no for it. So
it's not about whether or not they have the means to pay for it. It's what the actual costs are, and that's what we have it at now, is what the actual costs are to run a system and charging them the actual costs, regardless of socioeconomic status.
Yeah, that's just true there, but still, they've got a very, very bad system that's going to have a lot of money one of these days. And if they can't vote for this, how are they going to vote for that?
Yeah.
I mean, it just really bothers me how we're going to get over this hump on some of these districts like that. So.
All right.
Okay.
And then you had one more question, I think, for.
Yeah, I got on O, on the public health, HIV. Thank you, guys. Public health leave, oh, no. There she is. I just want to know on this, and this is a pretty easy one, on the HIV care grant. Has the HIV epidemic slowed down in Madera County or any place?
I believe at this point we have 3 active cases.
3, well, that's
in the
less than,
county.
'cause we used to have about 9 or 10. So.
So it has reduced. The care has been excellent, and we are exploring at this point. We do have a shortage of actual medical providers to provide the medical side of things. And so there is a physician who was actually grew up in Madera County, is in the Bay Area at this point, but has a nonprofit organization that they've been working a lot in HIV and has become sort of an HIV specialist. And he reached out to us, and we're exploring the opportunity of having him come on a probably
Weekly or monthly or
monthly basis to provide the medical side of for HIV patients in Madera County.
That's great.
Using his services. So when we're ready to bring that contract, you'll see that.
We'll know it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. Thank you.
P. Oh, no, you already did P. Wasn't it V called? It was V.
I'm looking at T. I have that consider approving.
That was being pulled. We're taking that.
Oh, that's right. We're pulling it. That's right. Okay. Okay, V, yeah, the sheriff. I talked to Jay back there too. I'm still trying to figure it out. If the public read this thing, if I can't figure it out, maybe I'm dumb, I don't know. If the public reads it, and they'll really be messed up on it. So, I mean, I went over 2 or 3 times last night trying to figure this out. You know, it's a whole bunch of stuff, and all of them that he's requesting are all good things. But to me, the dollars don't add up right on the backup and on this. But Jay explained it kind of to me, and I just like him to explain it to us how.
Sure. So
Joel's not here either.
we worked with the CAO's office on preparing this. One of the issues is if we had broken this out as 12 separate items, it would still go on one resolution. And I can't speak for Rhonda, but maybe this makes it easier to just have it on one. You'd have a triple letter consent calendar if you move these out to 12. But where there might be a little confusion, there's no confusion on pages 1 and 2 and the RURs, they match exactly. But then to properly note where the money's going on page 3 of our actual report, it breaks it down what's going to balance people-based things and what's going to fixed assets. And that has to be so that we tried to do that to make it clear where the money was going, and maybe that created because you go from 1 to 2 and then you start over with 1, 2. You don't go 1, 2. You don't go 1 through 12 on this one. You go 1, 2, and then you go 1 through 10. So I did double check the RURs. They all match up correctly.
All match up, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. About total, how much is it totally? Do you guesstimate?
You know, I haven't.
I didn't either.
I haven't totaled it all up.
Maybe next time have a total on.
We can put that in the report if that's what they.
So people know that, you know, when you do it like this, it seems like, well, he's asking 40 here, 40 there, another 22, 25, 6.
Yeah, we can just do a synopsis in the actual narrative, and then even though we'll still have to do this breakout of 1 and 2 and then 1 through 10,
right.
It should be clear in the synopsis.
Right. I appreciate you, Jay, and Joel too. He does a great job. So, okay, one more. AL. I want to pull that and discuss it, not in consent calendar.
You mean AI?
AL and AI too, but AL. AL is the next one. That $10 million.
Mod, you need to pull AF to discuss, or does it need to come back?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, we need to pull it out of the agenda altogether. It is no longer necessary. We just got confirmation this morning from the state that this resolution is not needed since it's a grant, it's not a loan.
AF?
AF, yes, sir.
Oh, that's Parkwood. So we're
It's
pulling
a
that
grant
one?
for Parkwood.
So we're going to pull that?
Yes, right.
So we'll pull that and,
It's no longer part or a prerequisite for the agreement, for the funding agreement, so.
okay, so you
it's a
got the
done deal.
money for it.
Yes.
All right, AL, you wanted to,
AL, yes. We'll discuss that. So we get through with the consent calendar, so.
oh, Eric?
There we go. I just wanted to offer up a suggestion that your board may want to consider taking action on AI because we're going to ultimately have to pay those bills until your board has a policy discussion about what you're going to do in this particular district. So, and it does require 4 votes, and we are missing a board member, so I just wanted to throw that out.
Say it one more time.
AI, I think
that's
ultimately,
MB40?
yeah, ultimately, we have to pay it at this point because your board hasn't had a policy discussion yet in regards to the new policy and what you may want to do with that district in the future. So I think up to this point, we're obligated to pay for those bills. Yeah.
Okay.
But you may want to direct us to come back.
Yeah, we haven't made a motion, so I won't
Just
say
offering that
anything
up.
on that, so. But we're going to pull item T to discuss and item AF to discuss.
No, AF is, it doesn't need to go through, it's no longer a requirement, so AF will not be a part of the agenda at all.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
not
just
AF,
actually-
I mean.
It'll be removed
That's
from
not
the agenda.
AL, I'm sorry.
All right, so AL,
Yep. AF is gonna, we just gotta pull that and
yeah, it's removed.
just
So,
remove. So
yeah.
we just gotta make a motion to pull that, to move it? Do we have to do that?
You can just,
To be consistent, I would suggest it.
I make a motion to pull AF
why don't
and,
we, let's take care of AL right now, and then before we do a motion on the, let's have public comment if anyone wants to talk about that. So let's just do AL, and before we move on the consent, we'll move to remove AL.
well, I just need to have you explain that $10 million contract for 5 years. What was it before? How much was it? And what, are we just getting services out of that? We're getting some work done? We're getting new gasifiers? Are we getting what have you?
Good morning again, Mr. Supervisor. Yes, this is basically, after the presentation, the workshop that we've had last July, we illustrated the need for capital improvements to our landfill engineering and landfill gas system.
Right.
We currently under contract with Tetra Tech BAS for a 5-year contract, which will end this June.
So we've had them for 5 years?
Correct. So my recommendation to your board is to approve a renewal or an amendment to extend it for another 5 years, which will address all our capital needs for the landfill, from gas and engineering.
So what was our last 5-year contract? How much?
I may just a second, sir. It was, yeah, it's in the neighborhood of $4.5 million in 2014. And then 2015, we came to your board for an amendment. If you recall, we installed 43 new gas wells and we installed a new flare station,
Right.
which required us to increase that for another, I believe, $1 to $1.5 million. And we borrowed that from the road mitigation fund, and it's already paid back through this enterprise fund. So I would say the first contract, the first 5 years were at the neighborhood of $6 million. And with this time, it's going to be.
So then let me ask that. So
yes.
So that $6 million paid for those new wells?
Yes, sir. We started with 40 wells with only 12 functioning, and today we have 83, about 90 gas extraction wells.
Okay.
Function.
And so that come out of that $6 million, that doing that?
Correct.
Okay, what's going to come out of this $10 million? Are they going to be newer wells, move pipes?
Yes,
new-
sir. Yes, sir. So new, more infrastructure as well. We are expanding to the next cell. So we're going to do a liner.
Do I have to pay for the liner too?
Correct. That, well, yes, that will be
So
all.
This 10.4 million is just not consulting and engineering.
No, it's consulting, engineering, and actual construction.
But don't say that.
Well, with these types of contracts, that's the gas, the landfill gas.
Okay, I'm the public out here.
I understand.
And I read this and it says Tetra Tech BAS is getting $10,454,000 for 5 years for engineering and environmental consulting. All
Not
said.
for infrastructure, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
you.
I understand. Okay. So, are you recommending a change in the?
Yeah, we just got to.
Just in the wording for and
It's got to
construction
say
services.
this is also
Correct.
work that's going to be done. I don't know
Absolutely.
what it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you know what it is?
I do.
Why it's not in here? Then?
But I'm not the public. You're right. You're absolutely
Public don't. All this says right
Absolutely.
here: engineering and consulting. And I ain't going to pay nobody $10 million for engineering and consulting.
Okay. Is there a recommended language?
Well, it's got to say. I'd like to know what some of the projects are. I mean, a new liner. The liners are about $1 million, right?
Yes.
So if somebody's seen that, say, oh, $1 million of it's already used up because it's going to be for a new liner.
You're absolutely
And
right.
if you close it up, that's another $1 million. So if you're going to close one of them up, that's $1 million. So the public and Tom Wheeler needs to know what we're spending $10 million for.
Correct. So, Supervisor, it's the attachment to the contract. It shows all the
Is it in here?
activities. It is in here, yes,
Is
sir.
it in my backup here?
It should be, yes, sir.
I didn't see that part of it. I'll tell you.
That's item AL.
Next time you put on there and work that's being done or is to be done or something. It says design, not construction.
We can add the term construction.
Okay, let's just put it on. I'm going to
Or in accordance with the scope of work, or as the
Is that
attached.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay, that's all of them I have on the consent calendar.
All right. Are there any other questions? Or did Tom get all of your answers too?
Excuse me, sorry. Public Health Director Sarah Boss. I just wanted to clarify something. I misheard your question. When you said 9, it caused me to go back and do some research. We actually have 3 new HIV cases for this quarter. So the total actual cases that we serve, sorry, I misunderstood your question, is 82. That's how
82?
many we manage currently. And it's obviously ongoing management for HIV.
Right. Oh, yeah. I know that. So it was
Just
3
wanted to
new ones this
clarify that.
quarter.
I'm sorry?
3 new ones this quarter?
3 new in this quarter.
Thank you very much.
And that's a lower rate than has been in the, is it, because I think the question was, is the rate coming down?
New ones from the past 5 years.
I'll have to look into that and get back to you about the rate
You can just give it
and
to
the
me
actual
first and
trend.
send me an email.
I'll send you an email. Okay.
Okay, thank you. CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, and I'm going to offer up another suggestion. I don't like doing this too much, but I think a contract this size, I think your board needs to have a comfort level. $10 million over 5 years, I think you should know exactly what it is that we're proposing as staff. So maybe we can take some time and bring it back at a future board meeting and make sure we have that level of detail.
You mean,
give you a comfort
motion
level.
For next week, you'd rather wait?
We
Next
could,
week?
or whatever your board's preference is. I was
I
just.
mean, if you can have it
wanted to
done
offer
in a
that
week, fine. If you can't have it done in a week, I just want me and the public to know what we're going to spend $10.4 million.
Supervisor Wheeler, just to clarify, if everything is included in the item, it's if you look at service category 2, which is the attachment in the scope of services, it's all clarified there exactly what needs to be done as far as new gas wells, new pipe headers.
It's got to be done, or is it paying for it?
It's both. Would you? Yes, Caleb, would you like to? say something.
Chairman, Supervisors, Caleb with Tetra Tech. Last month, I quickly went through this budget with you earlier this month during the workshop. This budget here is 10.4 million. It includes routine and non-routine services, capital and non-capital services. Approximately 4.5 of it is work that's you currently are doing right now at the landfill. If they're environmental protection services, reporting, sampling, small well extensions. It's just kind of ongoing small routine services. Approximately $6 million is we put into the budget, which really, if you look down at task item 6 and 3, those are non-dedicated services. Those are items that we've put into your budget, recommended be into your budget, but they're not going to be approved until that work is to be done. Approximately $1 million of it is for groundwater wells that the Regional Water Quality Control Board has not required you to put in, although by regulation you should have in there. So we've put that into your budget in case they come back.
So you're saying that SC1 task 6?
Yes.
Non-routine services?
Yes. And
That's what it's at?
task 6 and 3, 6 in task in service category 1 and task 3 in service category 2, all of that budget is not approved yet. That'll be approved at the staff level as those items come up. So for the liner construction, actually, the liner construction in and of itself will be a public works bid. That's too large for you guys to just dedicate to any one contractor.
Yeah.
So we will put that out to bid. Now, the smaller items like wellhead extensions and perimeter wells that have actually been delayed many years, and a liner which has been delayed many years because we've got you a vertical expansion, we've increased the side slopes. The staff and us have really put our heads together to delay the capital because of the way that the financial budget for the landfill was when we first initially got here. Now you are looking at potentially building 2 liners, so we've actually included the CM design, all the permitting for that in your budget.
That's
but
part
that
of
won't,
10.4?
That's part of the 10.4, but it's unallocated as of yet. So again, service category 1, task 6, and service category 2, task 3 is a part of the contract, but it will not be awarded or give that budget given to us, which is $6 million. 60% of it will not be given until that work or if that work arises. And so those were all the contingency budgets that we presented just a few weeks ago to you,
So
and they were actually highlighted in yellow in that workshop.
So you're saying that that liner, say that liner fund, will that whatever it costs will be part of that $10.4 million.
The liner itself, no, that will be put out for bid and awarded separately. We can't even bid on that because we will be the designer. So that's not in that budget. And that budget was presented during the workshop, and we have that in the budget. So it's been accounted for in the budget, but it's not a part of this contract. That's going to be awarded to some other entity.
So out of the,
later.
So what is there anything in this thing that's actually going to be bought of that 10.4 million?
So there's routine and non-routine gas services, which are ongoing for headers, wells, extensions, things that will occur as Red Rock is filling in certain areas. We've delayed like the perimeter header, which it's on its last legs. We did that needs to be reinstalled and pushed out to its permanent location. And then as more waste gets filled in there, there's going to be more headers that'll have to be extended and more wells sunk.
That pays for those wells?
Yes, all of the landfill gas, routine and non-routine construction, and we say that loosely because it's more like just maintenance stuff that happens on events. That is in this contract. That all of everything except for the actual mass excavation and liner is in this contract. And design, CM, CQA has all been accounted for in however many items that is, 50 items or whatever it is. We worked the last 6 months to really break out all of the costs with your staff to explain everything that's actually been occurring for the last 5 years and try to itemize that in each one of these costs and then do it over each year. And then certain costs don't accrue in several years. Like, for groundwater testing, we only have to do one of them every 5 years. So there's certain things that only occur in 1 year versus another year. And we've identified each cost for each item for each year on this table. And I'm sorry you didn't get that, but
And that's on page 30 of the back.
Yeah, I'm
the
on
amendment
page
to the
35
contract.
right now.
Yeah, it goes all the way through to.
It says that contract operator and operational support, 191,000. What kind of? That's meetings, inspection, miscellaneous permitting, quarterly airspace volume, semi-annual fill sequencing, taking plans. It just seems like a lot of money. Do that. How many people are working on that?
on that, ooh, that's a good question. I actually have a broken out one. So this is probably, you're looking at about 20% of the actual table. I've given that to your staff, and we've gone over the different staff types and so on and so forth. And I can certainly give that to you, not right this second, but I can certainly give that to you. And it can be a breakout of all staff types associated with each cost. So with that one, what you're looking at here is that we provide Red Rock an actual filling plan of where to go to optimally fill it. Quarterly, they'll submit an aerial, and we'll evaluate that aerial, and we'll evaluate the volumetric filling in that, and then we'll provide that to your staff, who will then negotiate with Red Rock based on their quarterly bonus or penalty for density filling. We'll also provide staking plans. We'll also provide other engineering and environmental permits, so that includes your updates on any miscellaneous annual or 5-year permits. There's a whole list of things that, I could probably bore you guys to tears if I explain this in minutia, but I'm willing to tell you anything you want.
Yeah. On task 3, non-routine services, it goes 474, 290, 310, 844,000, and back down to 290. On that fourth year, it's 844. What's the big jump on that? Non-routine services, non-routine landfill gas services, capital improvements, groundwater monitoring, solid waste engineering.
So for task order, task 3, service category 2, item 3.01. So you do have a jump in an amount of wells that need to be put in there. So those wells,
paying for wells?
Yeah, those are.
Good question, Supervisor. The more time passes, the more facilities we have to monitor. So if today we are monitoring and serving 90 wells, in a couple of years we may be at 150 wells, and so on and so forth. So
what I'm asking though, will that pay for the drilling them and putting them in and everything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now that explains that a little bit. So this first year, 474, you got to drill some wells this year?
About 40 wells this year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. Did you wanted to say and construction services?
Yeah, we've got to put that in.
And well construction services?
Yeah, no, constructions and construction services, because the services is working on it. I want construction.
I suggest adding construction for landfill gas field services. Would that capture the essence of this?
Say it again.
Construction services for field landfill system, for landfill gas system, landfill gas components. Construction services for landfill gas components.
And put that in.
I think what we want to say is this is a non-routine installation or expansion of the system. Because really what we're doing is we're adding wells. You could define it as construction, but it really is an expansion of the existing system and maintenance and monitoring. It all kind of gets rolled into one. These aren't really construction events in which we put together a large set of plans, specifications, and go on and so forth. Because some of it will be done in piecemeals. but we will try to combine it to get the best cost
Well, I
available.
just want to make sure that
It's
this is
delivering
just,
projects, not just creating projects.
right. Yep.
So
I don't
the
want to do,
non-routine services include construction.
I see all the monitoring and all that kind of stuff. I realize that, but I just, huh?
Chairman, I don't think that the services include the construction in the way that you mean it. They will not be constructing the liner.
No, I
There
know
will
not
be
the
no,
liner, but
right.
they will be constructing,
Landfill
drilling
gas
wells.
components.
You're going to drill wells with that money?
And how about installation and serving landfill gas components?
If I may, Mr. Chairman and supervisors, the construction element
Say your
doesn't.
name first, okay.
Oh, my name is Ghassan Andraus. I'm the president of the methane gas group with Tetra Tech BAS. The construction element for these non-routine services includes drilling additional wells as more trash goes in, also adding more pipelines, because the more gas we collect, the
This
pipeline.
10 million will pay for those wells.
That is
and the
correct.
pipeline.
That is correct.
And the
They pay-
wellheads and
That is
all those
correct.
kind of things.
And as Red Rock add more trash and move from one phase to the other, sometimes we need to move pipelines out of the way,
And that
put in
pays for that.
temporary, it pays for all of this. That is correct, for the next 5 years.
That's what I want to know.
Yes. It
And-
also may pay, if you recall, we're keeping our eye open for the extra and additional gas we're hoping to get, so we can put a landfill gas to energy project for you to
Right,
make
sell the
money
gas,
and
right.
revenue. It's also includes the design and the study that we have to do, and also potentially adding wells for that purpose.
And that would pay for those wells too?
It will pay for those wells. It will not pay for the landfill gas to energy plant,
Right,
because
no,
that
no,
is
I
like
know
a
that.
$3 to $5
Now, the
million.
liners. So the liners and that gas plant wouldn't be.
That
but
are not
everything else is
included.
paid for.
That is correct. That is correct.
Better for me.
Any
Hope
other
it's up to you
questions?
guys.
One thing I'd like to add, this is we are being very conservative, not conservative. I mean,
Well, don't
we're
say
asking
conservative,
for
it's
the,
$10 million
no, we're
too.
asking for everything here. We may not be utilizing all these funds, but we would
That's
like
just
to
a
incorporate.
high, I mean,
Absolutely,
top
high
end dollar.
estimate.
It could be 6 million.
Absolutely.
5 years. Okay.
All right, any other questions? Any public comment on the consent calendar?
You must have explained it pretty good, huh?
Seeing none, I'll call and close to the public comment portion, bring it back to the board for a lot of amendment and,
Okay, so did we make the motion to pull item T?
yes.
Okay, that's done, so I'm passed. Okay. AF,
AF, let's know.
we want to pull that completely out again because, okay, I make a motion to pull AF,
Remove it from the agenda. Is there
move
a
from the
second?
agenda. It's been taken care of.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? See none, I'll call close to public comment. Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yep.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Okay, did you still want to take AI separately?
No.
Okay.
I heard what our CAO said, and I hate doing it, but if I vote no, it won't pass, right?
That is correct. Could I suggest that you, if your board's interested, you direct us to bring back that particular district to have a policy discussion or about what to do going
Well-
forward, or do you not want to do that?
I think there's probably direction there. They didn't pass it. The policy says if 218 is not passed, then it triggers the policy discussion. But I
Okay.
think by virtue of the policy being already direction.
Okay, thank you.
That would cover it. You guys satisfied, okay with that?
Yep.
Part of our policy.
I make a motion to approve what's left of the consent calendar.
Right, did you want to change anything to add the services?
Oh, put in that
verbiage?
on that item AL, construction, including construction services.
Of gas extractions, maintenance.
Just need construction in there.
The timer went off, that it's time for you to
Is that okay,
stop talking, Tom.
Gina?
All right.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any public, oh, we already did public comment for the roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
All right. We've got way too much more to go. We're going to take a, we're going to go to lunch. We'll come back at
30.
30. Yeah.
Sorry, you guys.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We will reconvene our regular board meeting, and we are going to start with item 5T.
5T.
Promise delivered.
5T, Public Works Department, Maintenance and Operations Division. Consideration of approval of entering into an agreement with Fresno County Economic Opportunities Commission in the amount of $5,067,508 for the continued operation of Madera County Transit Services.
Phil Toller with your Public Works Department. As you guys probably already know, transit services in Madera County is provided by 4 different contracts. We currently have 2 in Eastern Madera County. We have a senior escort and a medical escort service. We have Merced Transportation, which provides service for all of our fixed routes, which is MCC throughout Madera County. And then we have dial-a-ride services around urban areas around the city of Chowchilla with CAT TX, and then around city of Madera with Madera Dial-a-Ride. The Merced Transportation contract, which is they provide service for MCC, which is our big fixed route contract, that expires in June 30th, and the CAP-MC that provides the 2 services in Eastern Madera County will no longer be able to provide service after June 30th. So as such, Madera County issued an RFP and to solicit bids for all of our transit services. Fresno EOC came back with an all-inclusive bid that ended up being a cost savings to Madera County, and the bid review committee recommended approval of this action, and we're here today for consideration of the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was contacted by the Madera County or Madera City Administrator last Friday, and he came by and we chatted for a bit. And as your board is probably aware, they were going through transition about the time we decided to put this out to bid. And I think there was maybe a breakdown in communication, and they did not. He didn't understand what was happening as far as us contracting this out, and he had a chance to talk with his staff and understand what the impact was to the city of Madera. And what will end up happening is there will be a negative fiscal impact to them if we pull out of the Madera metro area and don't use Madera dial-a-ride. So what I did, I talked with him, and I agreed to at least request that your board consider allowing us to sit down with the city of Madera and further negotiate with them. And if there's a way that they can bring the price in line and make it competitive with what we're getting through this proposal, that we may want to consider continuing to contract with them so that they don't have a negative fiscal impact. So just wanted to check and see if your board was okay with that.
Yeah, if we postpone this to next week, let them talk this out, will that hurt this contract or anything with the Fresno?
That's a good question, Supervisor. I don't know how that'll work. The contract has been negotiated and signed. We could reach out to Fresno EOC and see if we could renegotiate, maybe possibly.
Well, I don't want to renegotiate now. I want to wait till we see what Madera City has to say.
We don't have a meeting next week.
Oh, that's right. We don't have one. Jeez.
So my only concern would be that our services, would there be a lapse in our service? Because June 30th is the end of the existing contracts, and this is to finalize a long process that has been cleared and vetted through Caltrans and Federal Transit Administration.
Right.
So as long as we don't have a lapse in service, and maybe we could work
Yeah, we
somehow
don't want
with
to do
the
that. So they will haul Madera City people too, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
For the urbanized areas around the city limits, that the city is currently providing service for with their dial-a-ride service.
they already have that. They will keep that?
No.
So no, that service that City of Madera is currently providing on an annual basis was included in this contract with Fresno EOC. Yeah, for
What else do they provide?
the City of Madera
Yeah,
or
City of Madera.
just to the county is just demand response for transit services around the city limits in a small urbanized area around the city limits. So in other words, if they want to take a student to the college.
So when you talked to their city manager, what did he say that they were losing or concerned with this?
I believe by us contracting with them, it enables them to go after a grant, and it helps them with the matching dollars that they need to pull down more money.
All these don't pay for themselves, right?
That's correct. Yeah, there's money
no
that's
matter what, even
subsidizes. Yeah, and so I express concerns because in talking with Phil, there's some concerns over some of the methods and the way that the city had been charging the county. But I really believe that the new administrator wants to make things right, and he does want to negotiate in good faith. So
I didn't have that much confidence in the past one, but it left us in these kind of crazy situations now that we. Go ahead.
Okay, Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the CAO's desire to cooperate with the City of Madera and move forward. I do believe that Arnaldo is an honorable guy and is going to do what he can do to help us move forward. The second thing is my supervisor district takes in probably 95% of the City of Madera, or at least on the west side of the City of Madera, and Supervisor Rodriguez takes in a good portion of the City of Madera as well. And, not only are they city constituents, the people at Easy Services, but they're county constituents. And so I definitely have a desire to see these services move ahead. Thank you.
All right. Is there any other questions? Anything else to add, or anyone else want to speak, or I'll just open public comment?
If I have just one, I know we don't have another board meeting if we are to sign these contracts. So would it be possible maybe to reach, we will reach out to Fresno CEOC and see how, this would look by taking this certain service out. and renegotiate. And
We can give
the
direction.
deadline is June 30th. So anything absent a special board meeting, or I don't know, council, if there's a way.
Can we give direction to negotiate?
They can prove everything but the metric.
Yep, there's two options. You can approve everything but the metro spelled out as a Madera urbanized area, which is about a $1.7 million portion of this agreement, is what this nonprofit bid. Whether they'll sign that agreement is unknown. That's a service question that I think staff is presenting. However, it can be approved without that scope of service. There's also an ability to approve the agreement, and there are changes in the scope of work that can be done through an amendment, a contract amendment. I think that would have to come back for a special meeting. However, we weren't able, we were hoping to contact Fresno before this board meeting to see if they would be agreeable to removing that scope of service and give us some assurances that they would sign this with that scope of service out, but that wasn't, we weren't able to get that assurance yet. So
if we weren't able to get that assurance through negotiation, we could come back with a special time next week if we.
Correct.
So,
Supervisor Wheeler?
yeah. So, did you talk to the city at all about this?
In the past.
Yes, sir. So we negotiate with the city annually. Well, I shouldn't say negotiate. We've had an annual contract with the city. They've been a long-term partner as far as the dial ride services around the city limits. And this year, this current fiscal year, the city approached us about, and we agreed about redoing the formula to provide this service. As we don't know where it came from. It's just been there forever. So they have a new software system in place where they could keep better data and keep track of their records better. Mm-hmm. So what they did is they provided us more accurate ridership numbers. We agreed to a formula. The formula actually reduced the county's contribution to the city, which wasn't a good thing. So negotiations it went about 6 months beyond what we were hoping.
But they were still negotiating back and forth for 6 months.
Yes, sir. And we had MCTC included, and they were still they were significantly higher than the proposal on the table. But it sounds like the CAO said, it sounds like there is new administration that is looking at it better now, and maybe they're willing to provide better numbers.
Yeah, but if they got these new numbers that they're using, what happens if we lose this one, and then we'd be stuck with the higher rate?
Well, I could tell you from a road standpoint that I was excited because the extra savings helps with a little bit of offset for road maintenance that I could use with the LTF funding. But if the city's, I don't know where we're at with that.
Yeah, well, after 6 months,
I can help with that, clarify that. I got a chart from the city, and they are actually, the cost is going to go down. So like in year one for 1920 with the city, it would be $283,792 with their current numbers. In the contract, it was listed as $318,000 through the Fresno EOC. Year two is $310,000. Fresno EOC was $327,000. So they've come up with they've refined their numbers, and I think their numbers are actually better than Fresno EOC's.
Have they seen those numbers?
Yes. Yeah, they've seen them all.
Have you ever seen Fresno numbers?
Yes.
That's great, because that's about half of our current cost with the city right now.
Yeah.
So this is all great. The only concern, or not concern, the only thing we need to look at is really, will there be any interruption of service if our negotiations were, we need to reach out to the current, company.
What other parts is it? I mean, besides the city routes, what's the Fresno one, or either one of them, what's the other option? I mean, what's the other routes and stuff, services that we'll be providing that the Madera City has nothing to do with?
Okay, so there's also, we do the same thing with the city of Chowchilla. So there's that demand response for around the city limits of Chowchilla. There's MCC, which operates all of our fixed route services throughout the county.
Up in the mountains too?
Yes, and then there's the Eastern Madera County Senior and Medical Escort Services. So we have a
Actually
total
called
of
one down this morning. So.
4 existing contracts right now.
So there's 4 separate ones in this here.
There's 4. We currently operate under 4 contracts,
Right.
and this would be
one.
This would be one.
So we have 4 separate contracts right now?
Yes, sir.
And this would be all one?
This would be all inclusive.
And how about the employees? Would they all be the same employees?
So Fresno EOC, I think, is reaching out to current drivers that are hired by Merced,
Is it 4 different?
Merced Transportation, and giving them the opportunity to, or at least having negotiations with their unions and giving them the opportunity to drive for them first. So I don't know where they're at. They're kind of, I know they were reaching out to the unions and the drivers this week, but a lot of it had to do with today's board hearing.
How long has Rondo been in there?
Who? Or Arnado?
How do you say it? November?
Yeah.
So he's been in there a while. So has he been part of these 6 months negotiations?
No, he's not.
No, sir.
He's not.
No, sir. 2 staff members from the city, Yvette and Deborah, were the 2 staff members we.
Do they, when they report, you guys are city councilmen, do they have to report to the councilman to tell them what they're doing on this stuff?
Not
Well, yeah, only if they're coming forward with a
proposal. Yeah, they don't necessarily talk about the ongoing work product. And I think with the turnover across the street, it's City Hall's in a bit of turmoil right now as far as their communication paths.
That's what I'm afraid of even on this. If we don't do this contract and we start missing a month or 2 of no services, what do we do? I mean, if they go south on us again, they could do, because I mean, their council ain't the most steadiest thing in the world right now.
I don't think they will, because this could be number one. Again, I think that Arnaldo is a very honorable guy and really will want to work hard to get it done.
Yeah.
And I think it would be extremely political damage. There would be a lot of political damage for those who would not support moving forward to continue to fund dial-a-ride on the city side. Yeah. That would be, basically, putting a thumb in the face of the residents and those, particularly that use dial-a-ride, maybe the more disadvantaged. They're the ones who depend on it, and it's a.
That's what I mean. That's the reason I don't want to mess this up.
Right.
We don't get this contract, and we don't get one with the city, and then we got to start all over and start contracting with the other 3 entities to do our other 3 things. How do we juggle that?
Right.
After this long a time,
Mm-hmm.
like they didn't have no time to come up with something until this last minute deal. That's
right.
Supervisor,
I don't know what to do.
Maybe I could make a suggestion. I noticed that Fresno EOC is present today in the audience.
Oh,
maybe we could table this thing or just postpone it till the end of today. Well, I could reach out and talk to them and see if we could come up with an option. And before we adjourn
to them right now.
Let's just table it right now.
Is there anything you'd like to add to this right now? That
tell us.
Good afternoon. Monty Cox, Transit Systems Director for Fresno EOC. I am not in a position to be able to tell you yes or no. Unfortunately, I don't have that authority. I can tell you, though, that we have been working kind of behind the scenes to get in a position to start this July 1st. That is no small task. No. These turnover situations with bus operations, and I've been through many of them in my career, take typically 2 to 3 months. There's vehicle inspections that have to happen. There's employees that have to switch jobs, like you've mentioned. There's locations and setup of new offices, as in this case, a brand new office which is being set up. And we've got things in place to move forward. I have probably a dozen switches to flip tonight.
By July 1st.
When I get, in order to make things happen by July 1st. Many of those things I cannot guarantee could happen by July 1st if this gets delayed a week or somewhere around there. I just can't guarantee that. And I don't have the authority financially to make any decisions other than what we have in the contract currently.
Supervisor Poitras?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you so much for those comments. I think a time like this, they're extraordinary times, and I think that they require extraordinary actions. And, sometimes there's governments that function much better than others. And right now, it's pretty obvious that things aren't functioning very well. So I think that we have maybe not a legal obligation, but I believe we have a moral obligation to take care of our citizens. We have roughly 65 to 70 to 75,000 people who live in the city limits of Madera and the islands and so forth.
Plus Chowchilla.
Plus Chowchilla. And it's and I agree, and I appreciate your concerns. But I do know that, again, we've got a good city manager across the street. I believe that our mayor has a heart for the people and a real desire to see that something comes forward. And I also believe that there's other council members as well, that will step up when faced with this issue. So, again, I appreciate, again, Eric's desire to move forward. We're taking the step, showing great, believe, intergovernmental leadership. Thank you.
You're saying to wait.
No, I'm saying we need to move forward.
Oh, you are?
Well, I'm just saying that the problem is, I think we heard from our representative from the EOC that, he's got to start like last week getting things going, hiring people.
Well, I think you already have.
Inspections and so forth. So I would again, agree with our CAO's recommendation and move forward with a contract.
And to clarify, we'd take out the Madera metro area piece of it and try to negotiate over the next month or so. And if we can't come to an agreement, maybe we can come back in a month. And
now, in terms of that portion of it, though, would that mean as of July 1, then people in the city
have no ride?
They don't have a ride? Is that what we're saying? Or
it's my understanding that the city would continue providing that service, the dial-a-ride service.
Oh, okay.
And give us some time to negotiate.
The city has expressed that they would be willing to extend it for 30 days to provide that service, so we don't have a lapse.
Okay, so they just wouldn't abandon the dial-a-ride.
We have a long-standing relationship with the city, and I do not believe they would abandon us.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. It sounded like perhaps because of the contract and the time frames that we're looking at, that might happen. But
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, so, sir, Monty, right? So is it possible that we could pass that today and just leave that out, Madera City, for a month? Can we do that? Ladies shaking her head.
Well, actually, I can't make a financial decision. So what perhaps could happen is that you pass this agreement and then we start talking about an amendment that would then be negotiated and affect that. And we could start those discussions right away. And then, then we could talk about the impacts and we could calculate the exact, things and do the negotiations that need to happen. And we could probably do that fairly.
Regina, can you word the motion for however this is going to look?
I want to hear from her. She was shaking her head. What's your name?
Michelle Tatunjian. I'm the enterprise officer at Fresno EOC, and I oversee the Transit Service Department. And we are interested in supporting this contract. We understand there's some concerns with what we proposed, and we'd be willing to have that conversation. I think Monty's concerned, and I support Monty and the operations side of running this, as long as we can come to a timely decision on what exactly you need us to do by July 1st.
It's going to be timely, otherwise it ain't going to happen.
Right. I just don't want to make guarantees. If this is a couple of weeks, we can't find out the day before July 1st. That's all. So I wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
So we want you to flip 9 of the 12 switches tonight.
right.
Well, that's kind of what I was trying to imply here, is that If you move forward with approving the contract as it stands, then we move forward, going forward with everything we've got going forward. The only thing that would change during negotiations is the hours that we would be contributing operationally towards the miles towards that one service.
Okay.
So that wouldn't start until July 1st. We could work that out, I think. But
Bill, does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, sir.
And as long as the residents of the city aren't without service while
All I
we're working
care
that
about.
out, that's all that we need to make sure from this board doesn't happen. Right?
Yep.
Is there any other questions, comments, anything else you'd like us to consider?
Well, I had a whole speech. No.
If it only
So-
takes 1 minute, you're okay. If you don't have to do that.
No, actually, I mean, Fresno EOC is a community action agency. We do things to help residents in many different difficult situations. That's our mission. That's our goal.
Ours too. I got news.
Right. And so it is in line. The transit operation has multiple social service contracts where we provide different kinds of services to disabled, elderly, low income. And so we have a team of 115, a fleet of 120 vehicles and a team of 115 drivers to do all this. Now, if we get this contract, we're going to be adding another 10 of those drivers to that fleet and that team. And so we're in a great position to provide you excellent service. Our focus is customer service, and we can do it efficiently because we have those other contracts. And so, again, we do have I brought Rosalind Escueda here, who's going to be the on-site general manager for this contract, and she is going to be there full-time, able to provide this service in the most efficient way.
Wow,
We're grateful for the opportunity to team up with Madera County in this contract and provide these services. This is what we do, what I've been doing for decades, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to work with you and provide this service.
We appreciate you stepping up to help fill this need for us too. So
Yeah, we really do.
So this conversation, please know that we have the utmost confidence in other piece that is maybe the political kind of getting in there that we
Politics. Sucks.
But we
Not uncommon.
Right, bro?
Yeah.
Thank
So
you very
tell
much.
me how to make the motion, Regina, please.
Is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none?
You want to say?
Actually, I do have a copy of the flyer that we had prepared, just so that you're aware, and I'll give copies for your members. That we're going to, right from this meeting, go to the contractor of the majority of the drivers, obviously not the one that's still in question, but this will be going to them, introducing our company and our new contract, and we'll be meeting with them to bring them on board, their experience, and we believe their experience in operating these routes is going to be tremendous towards this turnover, making it as smooth as possible. So that's the next step. And that, like I said, we were going to go right from this meeting to them to give them these flyers and give them the opportunity to apply. We're going to set up special hiring processes in order to make that possible for them. And so I just want you to know we're going to be doing everything we can to make this as smooth a transition as possible.
If I made a motion, Regina.
I'll now close the public comment portion of the. Bring it back to the board.
Thank you,
for
boss.
action.
If I made a motion saying that we approve this contract with the Fresno County Economic Opportunities Commission, and with the side note that our staff and even them, their EOC will work together to see if any kind of conclusion we come up with in Madera City. If not, just moves forward.
Right, and to bring back any amendment to the approved agreement with a change in scope to exclude.
Within 30 days.
Yes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 3-2 absent.
All right.
Thank you guys
you
for
so much.
being patient with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, too.
All right, we'll move to 7J. This was the addition to the agenda.
Oh, yeah, that's. We have to have a motion to approve that, right?
We've already moved to bring it on to the. Didn't
No.
we move?
You did
No.
you did a motion to
At the beginning,
add it to the agenda
at
before you
9
went into
o'clock,
closed session.
Before closed session. Yeah, this was added to the agenda. We're going to take it up right now because we've got to wait for Max to get back for 7F, which needs 4 votes anyway.
Right.
We still have our public hearings too.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to Madera contract number 11196-18 and amending the term for providing quality medical, dental, and mental health services to inmates and wards incarcerated at Department of Corrections and Madera County Juvenile Hall respectively.
I was wondering what you guys were staying here for. I thought you were going to take us and put us in jail for. Yeah.
Is this like your penance? Is you doing hard time?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Manuel Perez, Director of Madera County Department of Corrections. This is just an amendment to continue the services that we currently have in the facility.
Any questions?
Yeah, just one question. What is it? You just missed it that we get by us or what? I mean, how come?
Well, we're currently in the process with the RFP, and it's just taking us the process. And yes, we're basically coming up to the sunset of the contract.
Okay. Okay.
There's no meeting next. All right, any other questions? Any public comment? None, I'll call close to public comment. Bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 3-2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, boss.
All right.
Bosses.
6A, public hearings.
6A, Board of Equalization.
It's
Here-
10:30, right?
Yeah.
It is, somewhere.
Yeah.
Hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving the assessment of lands by the assessor of Chowchilla Water District for the fiscal year 2019 to 2020.
Anybody?
So historically, Chairman, we haven't had anyone present during these
That's
public
right.
hearings
Okay.
because the assessment
Just
has
setting their
changed.
deals they got to do every year anyway. So.
All right. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to make comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public hearing. Bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Abstain.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 3, 1 absent, 1 abstain.
All right. All right, let's get into 6B.
6B, Public Works Department Engineering Services Division, Solid Waste System Rate Adjustments. Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving increases to various solid waste collection rates by the county's franchisees and increases to various tipping fees for disposal at the Fairmead Landfill and North Fork Transfer Station.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ahmad Al-Kayat, Public Works Director. With me, Mr. Jared Carr, Deputy Director, Engineering Services. So this item here, solid waste rate adjustment, I can go and summarize what you are.
This was what we discussed at the
Absolutely.
last
Correct.
workshop.
So the last workshop, we illustrated these in details and informed you that we are coming today for a proper approval and of these rates.
Any
So
board members have any? Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah. First of all, just from now on, make sure that when it says you have a exhibit that it's in there. Really important. And that was on, I think, page 3, I believe, on
Yes.
paragraph 2, I believe it said. Anyway, it wasn't in. I actually know. I printed it out last night. It was on page 3, paragraph 2. The attached spreadsheet shows the rate errors. not in there, but you gave it to me today, so.
Yes, I gave it to you, Supervisor, and all supervisors, and also the clerk of the board to include. And we can also broadcast it on the screen if you'd like to.
No, well, the thing is that when the public reads this stuff, that's what I was trying to get to earlier on the other stuff, sometimes it's confusing enough as it is. So if they don't have that, just don't, I don't make us look stupider. We have sometimes are. So, but I don't,
More stupid.
yeah,
Supervisor,
is that what it is?
Sorry.
the sheet you're asking for, you're correct, but it was also in the workshop as
Right.
one of the slides that were discussed as well.
And-
But we should have included it, I agree.
Yeah, have you went over with the auditor on this, all this stuff?
Supervisor, due to the auditor's findings for that item, which is the compensation for utilizing the wrong period of the CPI, it wasn't the auditor's report, and that's why we are coming back for this recommendation.
Did he approve what we're doing today? Have you talked to him about it? I thought he might be here today. but I guess he might be
Yes,
on
I believe he's in
vacation.
the workflow of
It's in the
that
workflow. He
item,
had to
so
check it
yes.
off.
Yeah, well, he did check it off.
Yes.
And then what's your name? Justin. They told me that you could explain more clearly how this happened. So that two different, those, the one for the February and one for the March difference in the CPI. So I'm waiting.
Well, I'm not sure. Justin Raymond, Division Manager of Red Rock. I'm not sure if I could explain more, but maybe in a different fashion.
That Okie can understand it. That's what I need to know. The button on?
I think the spreadsheet that you have basically shows a CPI period. Yep, that's it.
Okay.
So we put that together at the request. Kind of Ahmad said it was something that came through the audit report that showed that the period in 2017, every year before we had used a February to February CPI. In that year, we submitted those same February to February CPI numbers, and those came back and was requested at the time from the county for us to change to March over March. So I think that
so you got a request from the county to change it from February to March?
Correct.
Yeah, I can confirm that, Supervisor.
And why?
The way the language is written in the contract was a bit confusing to myself and staff, and we thought it's this period, and then they were okay with changing the period.
Okay, so you decided you ought to change it from February to
By
March.
reading the contract language, this is how we understood it. This
So
is
they've
like
been using it though since we started for February.
I'm sorry.
So from the day the contract started with Red Rock, they were using the CPI, like Justin just said, from February.
I'm sure.
Is that what it says in the contract?
Before
Yeah, and
CPIs were used.
if I can clarify, I think what kind of happened is that at that period, there was the audit report, but there was also a new contract that was kind of drawn with the MADCO.
Right.
And I think that there was some discussion, and I can't confirm that, but some discussion that was happening about those contracts that needed to have parity, that those should be following the same scope, that they should have the same adjustment period, and they should follow the same CPI
Yeah, but
tables,
they
I guess
didn't do the
index
contracts at the
tables.
same time.
Yes. I
We
mean, the
done a contract
paragraph.
with Red Rock one time.
Correct.
And we did another contract with Matco at a different time.
Correct. I think
But
if
fees on a yearly basis, so is it Madco's March to March?
It is, correct.
And so when we're doing our work, buying the contract, it's better to just have 1 month or one March to March for both of them, so that we're not going back and looking
Correct.
and applying it.
I know, but we
incorrectly.
could have 100 contracts and try to make them all the same. I mean, why would we do that in the middle of the string?
I mean, it was done this 1 year, Supervisor and board, and the following years, everything went back to normal, and it was caught by the auditor's office with their findings.
So
we are here to repair that error Just for
Well,
1 year.
whose error is it?
Madera County, my department's error.
Well, he just said they were using, their company was using February.
That it
And
was
he said that you said that we're going to change it to March.
I don't recall if
he's
I
saying that
said that.
they went. It's now going to be. Is it February to February for Red Rock and March to March for Matco?
Correct, and that's the way that has
So
always been.
That's the way it
So
always had been. We
there was
applied it that year to March.
Somebody
Now it has to go
decided
back-
they should
now
change
it
it
has
to
to
March
go-
for Caglia.
Yeah, and now it's got to go back to the original February for Caglia or for Red Rock. So
If
a
it went
year
back to
going-
February, they wouldn't get this money.
No, it did.
we
because
we
it said
did in
go back to
2018. We went so it's one period. The 2017 period is which was affected. We used March over March. 2018 it went back to using February over February. So there's one error period that was discovered through the audit, and we had in prior years provided February over February. Like I said, I think there was confusion amongst either public works, some accounting staff, whatever it was. The language, if you think this sheet's confusing, read that paragraph. The last day of this month following this period. I mean, it's rightful to have a human error in the process, and
We all make mistakes.
I think that that's just all that it could equate to be at this point,
So
Supervisor.
this is just rectifying that.
Well,
Correct.
I don't know if it's rectifying. That's what I don't understand. If they were using February, which is 7.31, and they want to use this March, which is 8.55. Down there, it's small writing, so
correct. Yeah.
It. How does that rectify it when? And Rhonda, you said that Todd and them do this. Okay, get on your feet.
So looking at the workflow and the board letter, the auditor's office isn't listed, but in talking with staff, she was saying that sometimes the auditor's office reviews board letters, but it's not in our workflow. So I guess he would have reviewed it, but not through our Acela system, is what you're saying?
Well, if also we could go back to the workshop. I believe he was in the workshop as well.
Workshop had nothing to do with it because it's still got to be signed off by somebody.
You're correct, but I do these
Workshop,
findings.
we didn't
These
vote
numbers
on
came
nothing.
from.
We just voted to bring it here today to talk about it.
These numbers came from the board, from the auditor's audit, from the internal
Correct.
audit, where the findings of the discrepancy, the error in the which index we use, and then quantifying it and all that, it was back and forth. And this is the best way to rectify these costs at zero interest to Caglia, to Red Rock.
I just have a hard time with this personally to figure out how we change. They've been using February the whole time. Then 1 year, you guys screwed up, our staff, and made it March, and give them that from 7.31 to 8.55.
Again, Supervisor, I understand your concern, and
so
I own that error. It happened, with my department, and this is why we are here to rectify it.
But we weren't supposed to take it to, for the contract, it was not supposed to move to March 17. Did that. Through the audit, we found that it should have actually still been applied just because it was easier for our staff to have two separate, or to have one
contract
that
had the
is-
same date.
that is
Same
parity.
language, same date.
We should not have done that. So per the
But you know that
contract,
you shouldn't do that.
I know we shouldn't have done that, and that's why it has to go back to the 217 that it should have been per the contract, and that's why. And then for that error of taking it to 317, it needs to go back to
Well,
what
if we
the
go-
CPI was at in February.
Well, if it's February, then they don't get that raise.
Yeah, they do, because look, if you look at the top of that, it says CPI as of 317 is 7.31. CPI as of 217, CPI at that point was 8.55. It actually went down the next month to 7.31. So because we moved it to the March,
Oh, it's just the opposite
it's
the way
just
it's
the
on
opposite.
here.
So yeah, it doesn't read across like you would normally expect to have.
Richard,
27
get up
Right.
here.
Right.
Yeah,
Chairman, the rate
Supervisor
increase-
Wheeler, if you,
The rate actually increased.
yeah, I could
less-
explain the
less
methodology.
than it should have had. The rate increased less than it should have had, which is why on item B and C, there's a calculation for reimbursement since it didn't raise as high as it should have. And it's the collection rates at 0.91% is for 1 year to compensate for that error in 2017. So under number 3, there are 3 cleanup items, 2 of them reimbursement, 1 of them an increased rate for a 1-year period. And all of those calculations are here to come up with those costs.
Correct. And we did have to throw one factor into there because this is billing that we're trying to account for a couple of years ago. That's why you see what the actual billing would to the should have billed. And then what we did is took what our projected billing is now. We've had some growth in different amount of customer bases, that kind of thing. And so
you
what
got
we're trying to do is
adjusted that,
recover the
right.
$70,000. It's basically what we're going after. And then the 2 flat
70,102.
payments there from, as the county suggested, for the North Fork and the Fairmead. So the 70,000 is for 1 year. We're trying to recoup that by the 0.91% increase.
So Tom, you're saying that we shouldn't just make the parity between the 2 contracts because we have so many different contracts.
Right.
Is actually what we're fixing here today with this by actually going back
That
to
our, our staff screwed up. Okay, so, Richard, we're friends.
I didn't bring my axe today, so be careful.
Oh, been practicing?
No.
Oh. Anyway, so when did you first find out about this?
Today.
You know what I got for you?
No, we've known about this issue since the audit, I believe. It was
Okay,
discovered
so you
since
didn't
the
know
audit.
about it when it happened?
I was not personally aware of it, no. I'm here to accept whatever responsibility I would need to accept,
Yeah.
but I don't feel there's any responsibility for me to accept today.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear, because I want to know if you knew that the staff had done this.
I'm aware that staff has done a lot of things, that we work together, appear together, but I was not aware of this particular issue until it came to light from the audit, I believe.
What gave you the idea to change that month?
Supervisor, it's not just like we have 2 contracts, the Imatco one and the Red Rock. No, I'm just going back in memory. When we received the request from Imatco for their CPI evaluation, and then it was forwarded to the auditor and they approved the calculation, it came back to me and I forwarded to Imatco, said it's approved, and I told Red Rock, you're using the wrong month. It should be this period. And they weren't resistant to change it. They said our contract says February to February, but that's fine. So we did that, and we were supposed to come and do an amendment and make sure the language is completely the same between 2 contracts. So it's just that this is where the error is, us thinking that the contracts are the same, but yet they are not, because
Well, you
they
should have known
refer.
they weren't. We did them at 2 different times and everything. I mean, there's a lot of things that's different in those
Correct.
contracts. I mean, we did all those. We spent an hour on this thing, old contracts going through them.
Absolutely.
So, it
And-
just
and-
really bugs me that not their fault, I guess. I can see that now. So,
No, sir.
I just think that the auditor's got to sign off on this. He's the one that done the audit, and he's the one that brought all this stuff up. If we haven't got him to sign off on this, got to.
So I just wanted to clarify, I think where the confusion comes in our workflow that we were talking about is that the contracts, when they came before the board previously, those were reviewed by the auditor's office because that's how it's set up. So I'm going to guess that the auditor caught the error during the review of the contract.
During the audit, they did an
Right.
internal audit last year of our solid waste program, and that's when they caught it.
Right. This particular board item is not set up to go to the auditor's office
okay.
for review.
It's taking the finding
Thank you
from
for
the
that
auditor's
clarification,
office
because
to
I think what I
rectify
heard
it.
a while ago.
So Supervisor Wheeler, the auditors, the internal audit gave us the amount due to Red Rock, and this is our attempt to compensate them for that error from the auditor's finding.
Okay, was this only, I thought there was some other things in that thing that you guys, you paid some money out, didn't you, on some of the things that were off?
Correct.
That's what I thought. And we just didn't do it then, when they were doing all that, we just now finally got to this?
Well, Supervisor, the reason why we're here today, and I'm here for your approval, is because this will implement a 0.9% increase to the ratepayers for 1 year. I would need your approval on that. Otherwise, the other two...
All the other stuff, we could do it internally.
Correct. Otherwise, the other two we can do internally, which is by them invoicing me, just like they paid us for other things, other findings in the
How do you
audit.
explain this to the public when you write a letter to them? Who's going to send a letter to your customers and tell them it's going up for 1 year? You write that letter?
We do.
We approve it or anything, or you just do it?
Yes, you do.
You approve it?
You've
Regina?
approved all the letters, or your department's approved
Yes.
all the letters prior to us sending them out.
Okay,
That's been protocol from the beginning.
I'll make sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions? This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to make comment? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public hearing. Bring it back to the board for action.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes?
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Thank you.
Staff, don't screw up no more.
We won't. We haven't been for 2 years.
All right. Now we will move to 7F.
7F, County Administration Department, County Council Budget Adjustment. Discussion and consideration of approval of transfer of appropriations number 18-182 in the amount of $290,000. 2, discussion and consideration to authorize Madera County Auditor Controller to pay above the contracted annual cap amount of the Lozano-Smith County Council Services Agreement for legal services received by the county through June 30, 2019.
Chairman, members of the board, Regina Garza, your county counsel, here to discuss this item for your approval. Yesterday, the board considered and adopted a county council budget of $1.55 million. Some of that includes our CAP contract. Currently, our CAP contract is for general services, and the CAP contract amount is $950,000. What we've seen since we've been providing county council services consistently since 2015 is that number was really an arbitrary number that we were hoping to keep under $1 million. We would always contract towards the cap, and now that we have several years of actual billable amounts, the averages have been in 16-17 a little less than $1.2 million. In 17-18, about $1.24 million, and in 18-19, it's projected to be about $1.25 million. And so what has been true is what we've heard from this dais is that the contracted amount may not be the actual amount, the average it costs to provide general services. And which is why the recommendation yesterday to the board was to recommend a budget that's more realistic for what the services cost for general services. Included in that county council budget that you approved yesterday is also litigation. The litigation doesn't all go to Lozano Smith. It's also other minor expenses such as the assessment appeal for legal services. And what this, I'm giving you really big picture because there will be another item coming to this board for consideration. What this item does today is close out 18-19 to authorize the auditor controller to pay for the amount above the contracted $950,000 for general services. Depending on your board's direction, we would be coming back to the board for two things. Number one, my appointment would be done next month, so the board needs to consider whether you want to again appoint your county council for another 4-year term. You have that option next month. And then number two, bring back a contract with Lozano Smith that mirrors what the average has been for the last 3 years, and that number right now is based on those actual numbers and the projected for this year, somewhere between 1.25 and 1.3 million.
So, yesterday saying all the praises, keeping it in, why would we budget it in this year as 950? There, so I had looked at this, and we had an increase to the, not in the general council, but we had that $300,000 increase into litigation.
Yes, Supervisor. Actually, in the current year, in the adopted 1819, we bumped it up 250,000 when we adopted it. We didn't budget the 950. We budgeted somewhere 1.15. That's 200,000 increase. So the way
All in the general service?
it's all blended together. So yeah, both general and
but the line item that says general county council services was still 950. We bumped up in the
right. We bumped up the total. Right. We bumped up the total.
The total was bumped up.
Right.
But the line item for general county council was at the 950.
Right. And I think the reason why we presented that way is we're contracted for 950. Well, right. And we need board action to actually spend above 950. But we did know that coming off of 1718, what we blew out of the water was the non-950 part.
Right, which was and that was up like at 700,000.
Right.
It was like 7. But so you're saying the only reason why it said 950 and we bumped the budget up by 300,000, we just didn't put it in the general portion of it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and the reality is it's the same pot. It's the same. We use the same account. What we're saying is we have no. We felt like in the adopted budget we had no authority to budget other than 950 for that, because it's the contracted amount. So, in order for us to pay above that, that's why there's two actions. One for the budget portion of it to add the funds for that, and then the other is to authorize us to spend above 950,000. So what we're saying is even though we bumped up by 200, we still need the additional 290. And that's with a total amount, whether it's outside or that part of that 950.
But we should have brought this forward 2 weeks ago before we went to budget hearings, so that our budget really reflects what it is, so we don't have to go in and readjust. We should have had it before and changed the contract so that it doesn't look like it was hidden under there. The overall, but no, I understand, because I understand that it has a contract. We should have amended the contract to have what the true costs were for general county council.
Right. So
because coming here after we pass a budget with that number and then saying that wasn't the real number for general county council services.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I got to tell you, I'm okay now with the level of service and where we're at, and I don't.
I am too. We just need to have it clarified.
It should have been clarified, and so when we have our adopted budget, then we have to then come back in after and say, well, this is past the cap. It just looks like I would have just rather, if we had 2 years of data, we should have brought that before we budgeted. So your budget, it's still going to be the same number that we agreed to in the budget yesterday.
Right, and I think that we'll own that part on the budget. I think one of the logistical challenges, we were still kind of hopeful that we would make it through the year. So when we built the budget, we don't know the 290,000 numbers. So we locked the budget middle of May. So I think, not to make an excuse over that, but we won't know the real number until most of the final invoices come in. So in terms of where do we need to adjust the county council contract to where it really needs to be moving forward, I think that discussion actually started after we locked the number for the budget. So, but
okay, do you see where I'm getting at? Just from an appearance standpoint,
right. No, we agree.
It looks like it got, and I was, privy to this at agenda review, and it was the same number that we were increasing the overall budget by. So I did see it. Yeah, it seemed to make sense. I'm just from an appearance standpoint, it looks like we did it a little bit. I got you.
Oh, okay. It don't work still.
Yeah. We have only a certain amount of numbers that you can bring in. So
It cut me off.
All right.
Anyway,
Supervisor Wheeler.
The bottom line is, I'm with Brett on it. We just need to put it on there. We got to. That number is actually, it's 950 plus that 1 point, or what it was, 1.15, then 1.2, then jumped up to 1.4, now approximately 1.5. I think we just got to make sure we have that out there. But we're still below. Want the public to know while we're talking about this, we're way below what it used to be. We had 5, 6, 7 lawyers here that didn't do shit. So I want people to know that. So,
Eric, what did we pay before when we had them in the house?
It was slightly more. I want to say it was about 1.4 million. I think last analysis we did, but that's separate from the quality, the work product. That's a big. There's a huge value in that.
Is it going to continue to?
I don't think so. And I mean, it will over time, just like all other costs. But I think, maybe to be fair to us, this was a cost control measure for us to keep that cap down. And I mean, we didn't want to make those adjustments. We didn't want to give them any more money than we had to. And that's how we approach a lot of things.
And I'm comfortable with the system of how that we manage those costs. I like that we have the committee that looks at everything. I'm very comfortable with and you also got, if we're looking back to 2013 or 14, 1.4 million with all of the COLAs that have gone in. That number is probably now 1.78,
maybe 9.
So I'm comfortable with kind of the trajectory. It was just a matter of order of how it went. I would have rather have seen that beforehand and had like a true number of what it was. Because when I go back and look at we'll see fiscal year 1920 next year on our budget, and it'll say something completely different than what it really was. So it'll look like there was a big jump next year. That's all.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's just a matter of timing. Any other questions? Anything else want to add? This is any public comment regarding this item?
Make a motion to approve.
All close to the public comment portion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
All passes, 4-1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
7G.
7G, County Administration Department, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving lease financing for the Oakhurst Government Center, Agriculture Building, and Ranchos Library projects, and authorizing the board chairman to execute and deliver the lease and related documents on behalf of the county.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Joel Begay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay of County Administration Office. In front of your board today is the requesting approval for the lease financing of the Oakhurst Building, the Ag Building, and the Ranchos Library. The total estimated financing that we're requesting to authorize is up to $3.9 million. The estimate of what the actual financing would be at this moment is $3,897,000. We are still finalizing all of the documentation costs, so we probably anywhere between that and $3.9 million. Roughly, it breaks down to $1.865 million for the purchase of the Oakhurst Building, $1.7 million for the Ag Building, and the remainder, $200,000 and change, to supplement the funding for the TIs in the Ranchos Library.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Thank you. It's great. I read all that, and I actually asked Eric if that covered the remodeling in the Oakhurst building, but just minor what we have to do. So I'm really okay with that, and I think this financing program we've been doing really helps us grow like we've been growing with all the new buildings and stuff. So thank you for your smartness for getting this done. So,
All right. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment, bring it back to the board for action.
move to approve 7G.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
All right, we have no more time for the next two.
Move to approve.
At 7H,
7H, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving lease financing for the acquisition of 3 fire engines, 1 water tender, and associated equipment, and authorizing the county administrative officer or his designee to execute, deliver the lease and related documents on behalf of the county.
is there any public comment regarding this?
Move to approve.
Close public comment.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Thank you is all I can say. For
7I.
everybody.
7I, paid call firefighter and paid call driver operator physical agility exam and job specifications. 1, discussion and consideration of approval to adopt a physical agility examination as part of the hiring application process for prospective paid call firefighters and paid call driver operator candidates. 2, discussion and consideration of approval to adopt the revised job description, job specifications for paid call firefighter and paid call driver operator.
Is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll call close to public comment. Is there any discussion from the board?
Move to approve with a discussion saying that this is all for new hires, right?
That is correct.
Main thing I want people to know, because got a couple of our favorite people text on it. Want to know that.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Madam Clerk?
Sorry.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes
I think
4-1
that's a great
absent.
step to do to cover our own rears. So.
Agree.
All right, pending legislation. We have no more budget hearings. Yeah, we have one. This is.
Oh, there you are. Oh, sweetheart.
Wait a minute, we're opposing SB1. We've got signs everywhere that says we're supporting it.
That's what I said to Buddy.
I'm going to clarify I'm going to clear that for you in just a minute. So, good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. I'm here before you today to talk about a new SB1. That's what we all thought when we heard about it, that it was our gas tax. But it's this is a joint opposition letter with the San Joaquin counties. So it'll be Fresno County, Madera County, Tulare, Merced, Stanislaus, and Kings County all signing this letter. It was introduced into a bill in 12 of 18, amended in the Senate on 411 and 521. The current federal and state laws already regulate water quality, water pollution, and endangered species, and SB1 would increase regulations at the local level. So it'll be more cost to our county if this SB1 should pass. The bill's too broadly written and creates standards that will significantly impact us. So the San Joaquin counties are looking for approval from you to sign a letter of opposition. And I'm available for any questions.
You said we should. Did you say we shouldn't do thumbs up?
Chairman, members of the board, I really appreciate when you do a vote that's on the agenda. Thumbs up are more careful. However, if anybody's going to contest that you're voting on a support letter, the risk is really low. I mean, a lot of times there's not enough time to add the actual letter to the agenda, so that's why we do thumbs up. Either way, I think it's approval, and so make your motion and your vote. The risk is low.
Would you want me to do that then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Move to approve.
You could do a letter without all the counties at a later date, if that would be better.
Well, no, you can go ahead and change it around. I approve going against that bill.
With
Opposition letter.
Motion to do that.
Approve signing on to this letter.
Okay.
Yes. I'll second.
That's the motion. To sign on to this letter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Thank you.
All right. Any supervisor reports?
No.
I got to do this now because.
Oh, I went to the SJJPA last year.
Okay.
No reimbursement.
Yeah, you got to do that, so.
And no reimbursement.
I went to the Sierra Nevada Conservancy meeting last week in Kernville, Kern County, actually, for 2 days. And it was very interesting. That's where I brought that thing this morning. I just want to do it again so it's on public. If somebody looks at this, that we're having that fire safety in the foothills on June the 15th, 9:30 to 1:30, Oakhurst Elementary School, the PG&E Wildfire Safety Open House. They're going to talk about turning your electricity off. Monday, June the 17th, 6 to 8 in the Mariposa Fairgrounds. And then our own Jeannie Hobbins doing Living in the Foothills, Eastern Madera County, June 29th, 10:30 to noon at the Oakhurst Library. How's that?
Thank you. All right, I'll adjourn the meeting.